Hello, and welcome to this history tutorial on the Puritan Challenge to the Religious Settlement. This is for Edexcel GCSE History, Elizabethan England. Today, we will cover how Puritans in England reacted to the introduction of the religious settlement in 1559, and whether they posed a significant threat to Elizabeth and the settlement. As we should remember from the tutorial on religion in England, Puritans were extreme Protestants, and for them, the religious settlement was the first step on the way to more religious reform. They were keen to remove all traces of Catholicism from the English Church, such as vestments and the decoration that was maintained under the religious settlement, such as the Crucifix being allowed in the church. For Elizabeth, however, the issue of religion in England had been dealt with. During the 1560s, the main Puritan challenge to the religious settlement came from the Church of England itself, and especially the bishops. When the religious settlement was introduced, the clergy were all asked to swear an oath of allegiance under the Act of Supremacy. Only one bishop was prepared to take this oath, and as a result, Elizabeth replaced the bishops who refused the oath with Protestant bishops, 27 of them in total. Now, many of these newly appointed bishops supported the Puritans and were in favour of further reforms. This meant that the challenge from the Puritans to the religious settlement could have been significant, as these bishops were in a greater position of influence. It wasn't long before Puritan clergymen began to ignore or disobey parts of the settlement. This was a direct challenge to the authority of Elizabeth as the supreme governor of the Church of England. Between 1559 and 1563, Puritan bishops pushed for the removal of things that they felt were too Catholic in the religious settlement, such as holy days and organ music in the church. Elizabeth refused to agree to any changes. The two biggest issues the Puritans had with the religious settlement, however, centred around vestments and crucifixes. Let's firstly tackle the issue of the crucifix. The crucifix was seen by Puritans as representing an idol. Elizabeth, however, liked them and also wanted churches to maintain their familiar look and feel. This was a critical part of the settlement, as Elizabeth was keen to keep Catholics in England on side, and as a result, she demanded that each church should display a crucifix. When some bishops threatened to resign over the issue, the Queen had to back down. Elizabeth could not afford to ignore the bishops' concerns, as there were not yet enough able Protestant clergymen to take the place of any bishops that were dismissed. The fact that Elizabeth had to concede over this issue shows that there was significant opposition from the Puritans. The vestment controversy of the 1560s was also a serious challenge to the religious settlement. Remember, a vestment was a special robe that was worn by the clergy during religious services, and these were typically a feature of the Catholic Church. Elizabeth wanted the clergy to wear vestments, but some Puritan priests refused to wear the vestments, which the royal injunctions had made compulsory. By 1565, it was clear that not all the clergy were following the instructions, so in 1566, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Matthew Parker, issued further guidelines on what was expected. He also held a special exhibition in London to show priests what vestments they should wear and when. 110 priests were invited to this exhibition, but 37 refused to attend. The 37 that refused to attend lost their posts and some were imprisoned. Unlike the crucifix controversy, however, the majority of priests consented to Elizabeth's insistence that the vestments should be worn, despite some opposition. In summary, the introduction of the religious settlement in 1559 did face some serious opposition from Puritans, but surprisingly this came from within the Church of England itself. The fact that Elizabeth had backed down over the issue of the crucifix shows us just how significant the threat was, as she could not afford to lose the support of the bishops she had just appointed. However, it is important to know that the number of Puritans in England was small, and they were mainly in the south and west London, so this limited their threat somewhat. Elizabeth also knew that the Puritans would never plot to overthrow her or support a foreign attack, as they ultimately recognised that Elizabeth as a Protestant queen was a better option than replacing her with a Catholic monarch such as Mary, Queen of Scots. To get further help, visit history.outwood.com, see your teacher in school, or check out quiz.outwood.com for those sweet revision quizzes. You can also follow the Outwood Humanities team on Twitter @OGATHumanities. Until next time, that was a little bit of history.